the time that
And we are live.
Yep, that was correct. I just said we are live in like our Discord server, so yeah. So I figured that like it'll be like serendipitous and accurate for like when and we're about to go live. So, hello everyone, welcome to the Alchemy bench. It's the usual trio of like misfits as were. It's me, some random geek pirate theme this time. Isaiah Taylor joined us while eating, and John Brockman, the host, and currently not on Capcan because Cat is not cooperating.
Yeah, because Sasha is down here instead of on the windowsill.
Thank you, webcam, for just shutting off. I seriously need to do something about that. I don't know why. It's just like, I think I gotta get a new webcam, honestly, because like it's messing things up. So
your webcam is upset with you for trying to force it into the binary of being either on or off. It is an NB webcam.
Okay, fine, webcam. Listen, I'm staring at you, staring at the webcam, even though that looks like I'm staring at the audience too. But this is directed towards the webcam. All right, webcam. No, this won't be a problem. I will actually recognize and respect your pronouns. I'm not Jordan B. Peterson. He got kicked off Twitter.
No, he got temporarily suspended from Twitter until he agreed to take down a bigoted tweet about Elliot Page, which he refuses to do. You woke, Kermit, Canadian Kermit. Well, take that up yours, woke.
I am not been like terminated from Twitter. I just been suspended because I am censored. They want me to like delete the offensive tweet, and I don't understand what's so offensive about it.
Up yours, woke mob. Up yours. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? Something gay mob.
It's all about this like a post-colonialist, like postmodern neo-Marxist like agenda of all the like Maoist feminists as it were. Maybe there is a Maoist feminist as it were because of Marxist feminists for sure.
Let's see, a Maoist feminist. Something one child policy.
Yeah. China did have that, but I don't think that was like Mao. Mao definitely.
No, Mao did do the one child policy.
Oh, he did. Okay.
He was trying to limit China's population growth because they were having severe problems with agriculture due to Japan invading them.
You want to know what a Stalinist feminist is?
Mustache rides.
Someone who has smallpox. That was a pretty shitty joke, though.
I'm guessing there was a smallpox outbreak in Stalin's USSR. Is that what the joke is based on?
No, Stalin had smallpox.
Well, I mean, it wasn't eradicated until the 60s or 70s, so.
But then again, it's just like a Stalinist feminist who were like one that like starts Ukraine.
Stalinist feminists demand mustache rides.
Or they're like tankies who like support Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Again, contradiction in terms, honestly, just like a conservative feminist, and yet there are conservative feminists.
There's
I don't know. I could see an argument being made. I've been listening to a lot of YouTubers, some of whom are tankies, or who would definitely be called tankies. I don't agree with them. I'm still an anarchist and not MLM or Stalinist or anything like that. But our view as American anarchists of Stalinist USSR has definitely been shaped by American CIA propaganda. It was not as bad as we've always thought. So I could see feminists supporting Stalin for advancing a freer, more equal vision of the world.
What is a Nazi feminist?
That is definitely a contradiction in terms.
Like a conservative feminist, honestly, it's just like who's canceled now? Jordan B. Peterson
canceled now. That needs to be an 80s power ballad.
Well,
Oh no, that's 70s. That was
Pencils, no.
yeah, I was definitely mimicking
Don't
another
stop me
mustache ride. Yes, can't stop me now.
Freddie Mercury as like
Yes,
Queen.
he
Yes.
gave all the mustache rides.
Yes.
So you live in Seattle, right, Geek? So I guess you live
do.
right. You live right.
Did you go
next
to a con?
No, I
Oh
did
no,
not
he
go
says
to
you
the
live in Seattle, not you went to Seattle. Sorry, I misheard.
so Isaiah, your question.
So I guess you live right next to Jessie Gender then.
Actually, yeah.
We should be best friends.
I mean, it can be honestly, because like she knows who I am from C Shy's audience, and someone and her like channel was small. I did became well, when her channel was growing because of Steve Shives like promoting her work, I did like became $5 patron. She made me a mod on her YouTube channel and in her Discord, which is kind of like shit. I'm a mod in here. I guess
I have power, unlimited power.
And well, I'm one of several, so just like in case something is happening that like moderators get tagged in, it's just like okay, someone's already like on it taking care of it.
Whereas on our channel, everyone's a mod. Because if you're here, you care too much.
Hey, what was your question, Isaiah?
No, I said I'm sending her some fan art.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you did mention this on like to C-Chat's question on like yesterday's on Friday's Ask Away that like it's the lingerie or the outfit that she was wearing on the thumbnail for like Gene Roddenberry's like a sexy blah 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 whatever.
It's just fan art because I like.
Hopefully, it wasn't too creepy.
Yes. Hopefully it wasn't, and I don't know if she has. I know she doesn't have a fan art like a channel on the Discord server, but I'm sure so long as it's like again not creepy, she would be flattered by it. So, like if it's like very similar to like what she shown on like that thumbnail. Oh, I bet she will love it as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's gonna be just like that. But what do you define as creepy? I'm just asking.
It's fuzzy.
Depends.
I know it when I see it. You know, if it's incredibly sexualized, or if you have her doing stuff, or things like that. If you exaggerate features,
yes,
that's the sort of thing I mean by that.
I'm
sure you didn't.
It's going to be just like what you saw on like the movie Titanic. That her like.
Oh yeah, so Jessie Gender as Kate Winslet essentially.
Yeah, so that's basically just wearing that Star Trek stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's right. Because
that wouldn't be creepy. No, that would be in line with what she portrayed in the video herself.
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
yeah. No. Like it's not some anime opie shit. No.
The opie means giant tits, right?
Opie means breasts. Yes.
Okay.
or boobs, as it were.
I'm not one of those people.
Oh, what do you mean, those people?
I'm right here. I mean, sometimes how they're drawn, and not just in like a hentai or ero manga or ero anime as well, but or the ero games as well. It's just like this is distracting as it were.
Yeah, I'm like, be like, do what you want. That's just not my thing.
I mean, it's always somebody's thing is always going to be weird to somebody else.
I mean, some of the things that you've seen in some of the hentais, I'm just like, I guess this is a fetish. And turns out there's a word for it. And I'm just like, I wish I did not need to know that though. But like, I also wish I kind of didn't see it because like, why? I don't know. Domination, I guess, is like the kind of a kink.
Domination, choking, spanking. There's all sorts of shit.
I mean, enema.
And remember, when you choke people, you hold the sides of their neck. You don't actually choke them, okay? Be safe.
Yes, exactly. and please don't misunderstand BDSM as a word. It's not like saying BDSM is not an excuse for like there's cat. BDSM is not an excuse.
He said there's cat, not there's scat.
Yes, there's a cat. Not their scat. And we were talking about porn fetishes in this conversation too. But this is not the porn fetish. This is like just a thing. It's like a BDSM. Is not the BDSM is not an excuse for like people who like love to beat up their partners as it were to do it consensually as it were. No. And it's like
BDSM is not abuse. Well, although you have to be really careful of entering into that scene because a lot of people go in there looking for people to abuse.
exactly.
Every munch has one or two guys who have been banned.
Yes, because that's why, and is in fact that's like Tavi. You probably like. I don't remember Tavi if you mentioned this on like on stream or on social Alchemy. I think you have already, but like it's kind of like it was when Tavi goes into some of the kink community, kink Discord services where it discuss like various things like that. That's where, unfortunately, some people first learn that there's such a thing as consent and how they can actually consent to like things that they want to do or not. Also, hence why the safety words is where like bananas or popcorn or anything like that. Because once you say your partner should stop whatever it is they're doing, and this also goes to like in consent as well, because like anyone, you could be doing something like, and someone who doesn't know it better is imitating what they see in porn and thinks like that's what women want or whatever like that. Then you can be like, the woman can definitely say, "Ow, no, stop," as it were, or is it's like, no, let's stop right now. That position is hurting me. Just change positions, find a more comfortable positions to like where it's like it's comfortable for both partners, and then you can continue. Again, that's a part of the ongoing consent. It's because yes, even in the middle of the act, someone can say no for whatever reason, and the other person has to respect that no. But then you can, like, as the sex educator, Sex with Emily has like always stated, like communication is lubrication. So before and during, it's important to have communications, as it were.
And consent can be withdrawn at any time for any reason or none at all.
Yes, even men, and because believe it or not, yes, absolutely, men can definitely like consent not to, as where if they don't want to. And my video went out again. I maybe I'm gonna have to like get a
You're
new
back.
webcam.
You're okay for the moment.
Yeah, I had to like click start video. It just like shuts itself off. I think I'm gonna have to get a new webcam eventually.
When will you have time? You work 70 hours a week.
60. That's my manager and I had a conversation about that on Friday about my excessive hours, because like I came in on 4th of July. Unfortunately, those 9 hours and 9.32 hours I worked on 4th of July didn't count towards like the regular working hours, so I didn't get like 9.32 hours of overtime then, as well, or whatever it would add up to. Didn't accrue to that. It was its own like pay status, as it were, and I was paid at my regular rate. So it's extra hours, but I still got the holiday pay anyway for just like holiday. So there's 8 hours. So it's kind of like it's double, but I wasn't, those 9 hours and 9.32 didn't go to the accrue to the regular total. Yes.
That is weird. And they will take any excuse they can not to pay.
And it's like, oh god, do I fucking contest it? I'm not, wasn't supposed to be there on like 4th of July, but I
wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Yes, just like Dante Close. Tavi did like have something to say parts of the previous conversation. And Tavi knows a bit, yeah, and oh heck yeah, ran into young women in their early 20s who never learned that they had the right to say no before 18. They learned after 18 from erotic fan fiction. So hey, good erotic fan fiction can still be educational, and
as long as it's not 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh yes, exactly.
And then don't get us wrong, there is a lot of fan fiction out there, like 50 Shades of Grey, that is not safe, sane, consensual.
I bet I remember like talking. I think I remember talking to someone, and they said, "Oh yeah, that movie," because it's kind of like, yeah, the BDSM community had some issues with that movie as well.
Remember Dan Olson of Folding Ideas?
Yes,
did his lukewarm defense of 50 Shades of Grey, pointing out that the movie tried to fix that shit and actually made the story better.
Mhm.
to
But
the author's great anger and despair.
oh yes, which is why the second and third movie was
Directed by someone different.
it's directed by like someone she knows or something like that.
Mm.
Because but it's kind of fascinating also like how like that fan fiction, that particular fan fiction, again, it was on fanfiction.net, it was fan fiction of Twilight, as it were. Or how did that get popular is because there'll be people commenting on it, but then the author replied to those comments, and just like with all the other algorithm based like sites as were, a lot of comments or a lot of that sort of thing will get
Engagement boosts the thing.
yes. Since the author was always arguing with people that commented on the fan fiction, as it were, it always got shown up on the front page of fanfiction.net and became a feedback loop. So that is how that particular fan fiction on fanfiction.net, the original fan fiction, got popular. It's all because the author was arguing with everyone that she encountered. And continues to do so until even up to like the first three they product films. Hey, little Otto, I hope you're doing well. All the loves and like cares and kisses to you, Julie. Ma, ma.
Oh yeah, Tevi. Evangelical, conservative Christian spaces definitely do not teach consent. Because for them, consent isn't a thing.
Yeah.
You get married, you are now property. Your owner can do whatever he wants to you.
I'm not dead. That does okay. So, a quick reminder: let's thank our patrons. Let's thank Marty, Flora, Joe McClory, Ellie, Tim, Ataka Teacher,
Von Wreck, and the Fuckboys.
Then the Fuckboys. Hello, Limpy. So Julie, you do also remind me because like yes, today is episode 199. It's just Alchemy, and I didn't plan anything honestly other than the usual spiel. But however, I did actually like ask a friend for like if they want to come on to make at least the like 200 episode special. So Steve Shies is available to come on to So It's Just Alchemy next week, which conveniently also happens to be the Patreon hangout for Steve Shies too. So,
I will bug him about why he doesn't support fully automated luxury gay space communism, despite being a Star Trek fan.
I also have a podcast to attend at 8 with Dark Ozark.
That's cool. So you're on the Fluid Voice then,
yes,
right?
Yeah, she actually sent me an invite, so I'm gonna do that. So it's Patreon Hangout, Social Alchemy, and then the podcast. So I'm actually probably gonna ask off for work that next Sunday.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
you are a busy boy.
I think, and now back to the main topic of which I have promoted on the various spaces, all the Discords and like the social media, is that like Isaiah, you kind of asked me a question in messages. It was basically a question. It's like, is it against socialism for someone to cat? It's not
no, it is not against socialism for someone to cat.
No, cat is not against socialism. Is it
all cats are anarchists?
Well, yes, exactly. Is it against socialism? That's also why I'm big about allowing teens in spaces where consent is discussed. Obviously, drawing in line into truly explicit content. It may only be the access to info that they have. Agree, Tavi, and we can have a whole conversation about that and like many spaces that like decided to be like 18 plus, which sometimes not like educators or don't want to be, just want to play video games. Or hey Tim, hey Taka Teacher.
You can't see it, but I have had to defensively turn my chair to make sure Sasha doesn't attack me. There's my chair.
So finally to the question and the discussion, because Isaiah asked me, is it against socialism for someone to buy a luxury item, as it were, like say for like the first issue of like Superman or something like that, or like in video games,
Well, tell John what I bought, because I actually just bought it. But tell John what I was talking about.
Okay, then I'll go to our messages and find the thing that you bought. Oh, at least the eBay link. Okay, there's.
Sneaky mouse wheel.
Is there a usable shared link as well? Okay, that's a super long link. Okay, so I think what I'll do.
No, it's not anti-communist by Benoit Balls. Okay.
Okay, I think I'll instead of sharing the link. Well, let's try this. I'll try see if the link is not too long as well. If not, I can give the link to yeah. This unfortunately it's too long to share it in the YouTube chat, so I'll share it in our private chat, and then John Brockman can share the link because you got links sharing feature disabled.
Yeah.
It's,
But I bought a ship's telegraph.
yeah. So the thing that's like in the Titanic, ching, ching, that sort of thing.
Let's see. The thing is, it's not anti-communist to participate in capitalism when you're forced to participate in capitalism.
Right.
It's not anti-communist to can't share it in chat because it's too long.
Yeah, so that's why I shared the image in Zoom as well.
So instead, I will put it into the show's description. Damn, that's long.
It is a long thing, but yeah, but that's what yeah, I was thinking share the screen to show it to people as it were, because right now the share screen feature is disabled by the host.
That's there we go. Now it's been changed.
Okay.
Now you can share.
So yeah, this is what Isaiah it was I think in buying this sort of thing. Okay. Because yeah.
Oh wow! Just share the Zoom link to everyone. Why don't you?
Hey, I stopped sharing, so there's not a problem.
Oh no, they can't see half of it because it's covered by the OBS image. Okay. But yeah, socialism encourages you to explore your passions. It does not discourage that. Buying luxury items, spending money like that is something you're forced to do under capitalism. Under communism, I mean, those things would still be, of necessity scarce, but there wouldn't be the artificial scarcity created by capitalism. So it's a complicated issue, I think, but no, it's not anti-communist.
What the thing about conservatives when they attack communism or socialism is they'll say, "Well, you still want to buy stuff." Because Jessie Gender actually got this comment when she went over her Star Trek and NFTs video. She would have people post "Well, you buy all this, you buy Star Trek costumes and
Okay, well, I'm not sure. Well, Jessie Gender definitely has leftist leanings as it were, but if she is a socialist and communist anarchist, she doesn't like to advertise it, which is kind of interesting. It's all because she wants to appeal to a wide audience, essentially. Behold mention. Oh, thank you, Emily. Right. No, right, but yeah. I know what you're saying. Yes, we can create a tiny link with tiny URLs. Essentially, I should see if that's a free application too, or we can do it temporarily in a time as well. No, maybe it is actually kind of
I'm actually making an entire Titanic cosplay. Actually, I'm going as an officer, as a lieutenant in the Royal Navy. I know they weren't black youth lieutenants in the Royal Navy.
Actually, there could have been. I mean, yes, Britain was ridiculously so bigoted and so on, but there were black people living in Britain, and if they were able to overcome all the barriers, they could have gotten enough money to be able to buy their way into the system. There could have been a black lieutenant in the Royal Navy.
Yeah,
I mean remember France had Alexandre Dumas, right? He was black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Julie's going to bed. Good night, Julie.
Night, Julie.
In Germany, when Jesse Owens went over there, now, of course, I think the Nazis actually got rid of most of they tried to tamp down their racism when Jesse Owens was over there, but
that was Germany, not Britain.
Yeah, Germany.
Yeah, Germany, Nazi Germany. I think they didn't, or either they didn't allow him to participate, or he refused to participate because of how awful they were.
Mm-hmm. The wolf has to take. Wolf takes. Socialist left, anarchism, whatever. Humans are creatures of play. We need stuff to play with for our own well-being, e.g., luxuries. And that's why I also posted at least the video of the poem "Bread and Roses." But I want it because the main crux of the poem "Bread and Roses" is to like, yes, we need the bread for sustenance in order to like keep on going and in order to live. But in order to thrive, we as workers also demand the roses. Because it's like we just have the bread, the lives are just boring, just like meaningless as well. So we demand the roses too. Oh, it's free. Thank you, Emily Chambers. I did not know that like I can create free URLs with tiny URLs as well. Okay.
I just remember one time my boss saying that my supervisor actually saying that just come to work and do your job and go home. So I guess if life sucks like that, I guess you just kind of have to buy nonsense just to distract you.
Well, I mean, it's like David Graeber said, quoting a philosopher in Bullshit Jobs. Play is the purest expression of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Doing something just for the love of it.
Yes.
And thus, a bullshit job is the purest expression of the lack of freedom.
Yes, exactly. Because like and Dave Graeber goes on about it in the bullshit jobs theory. Because like the baby is the happiest when the baby discovers that it can like move an object. Its action has an impact on reality as well, and that's when the baby is just like the most exhilarated because I did that essentially.
When you realize that you can change the world, when you can have an impact.
So
and I looked it up, and Jesse Owens, the NAACP, briefly convinced him that he should argue for a boycott of the 36 Olympics because it was taking place in Nazi Germany. But Avery Brundage, president of the American Olympic Committee, branded them un-American agitators, and so eventually they did participate. Owens and several others.
Yes. It has to un-American activities as well.
The Un-American Activities Committee wasn't formed until the 50s, after the war.
Yeah.
But America has always hated Jews. I mean, communists. I mean, Jews. Yeah. Communists. Sorry, atheists. Jews.
And black people who they often like can either blend to be communists as well, whether they were or not. Some of them were communists. And back to the USSR, actually, there's some propaganda that the USSR did saying like, hey, sex will live in America if you're black. Come to us and we'll treat you equally as well. Now they probably treat you equally terribly depending on like where you were or if you're an anarchist, but like they seem to treat you equally. And so there was a lot of sympathy amongst like black people or black radicals for the USSR and other places and other institutions. Of the Black Panther Party would usually have like their members like read the Green Book, essentially speaking about, or the Red Book. It's the Red Book that they have to read as part of the initiation.
The Green Book was the stuff that stuff black people carried around in the 60s in the South too.
It started in like the 20s and lasted for like 50 years. Yeah, it was a monthly thing that was published saying, here's where it's safe to go and here's where it's not safe to go. If you're driving through the South and you need to stop for gas, these are the gas stations you can stop at. So, I mean, they had to very carefully plan their trips. They could not just go places.
Because there were sundown towns and a lot of them in the deep South as well and across the South. As which some of them I gotta
Quick
remember.
Question. When was the last chattel slave freed in the United States?
Oh, damn it. It's like, this is either a trick question where it's like, answer is like, no, they're still not freed. Because
we do not have chattel slaves right now. They cannot be bought and sold. They are slaves, but they're not bought and sold, so not chattel.
But then it's just like, okay, is it like people would guess like after 1865 because of the Civil War or something like that, but I doubt that's the case because of Black Reconstruction and a lot of other terrible things that like the South did. But then even like the laws themselves, some states did not even get rid of the laws until like the 1900s, like apparently Delaware, if I remember correctly.
You're correct to be suspicious. Because the black codes and Jim Crow did re-enslave black people. They were chattel. They were bought and sold and traded. And the last chattel slave was freed in 1942.
So
Because FDR asked his advisors, "Where are Germany and Japan going to attack us on the propaganda front?" And they said, "Slavery."
yeah.
And so he said, "In the slavery, prosecuted as slavery."
So there you go. So the only reason that the United States of America finally covered up chattel slavery was just because it was a PR thing. It would make them look bad against the Axis powers. Just like so, that attitude is still carried today amongst many corporations like Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They only care if it will like give them
And
bad
that's a
PR.
category of bullshit jobs, the box checkers. We want to look like we care, we don't actually care. But yeah, the last chattel slave was freed in B, Texas in 1942, and a local newspaper said it was a victory in the propaganda effort against Germany and Japan.
And people would ask me, why do you want to marry a white girl again, Isaiah?
So that she can drive the car and you won't get pulled over.
Well,
actually, you would get pulled over, and then the cop would ask if she was in trouble, like if you're in danger.
No, actually, yeah. So in like drama class, I had one of my classmates, pasty white, just like me, but her father is black. They got pulled over all the time when he was driving, or even I think it's when he was driving, but yeah, that's kind of like. Oh wow, I gotta think about it because yes, it is very possible for someone to come out pasty white but still be mixed essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the fascists probably would like not care until they find out like guess who's coming to dinner, as it were. Or the reverse.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that eugenicists did was marriage counseling, not to make sure that you are sexually, emotionally compatible, that you have similar life goals and things like that. They're just looking for secret Jews in your family tree.
Which is why they all talk about the one drop in the purity, because like the blackness invades the like a genealogy and
that's why Obama was a black president and not a half-white president.
Exactly. As many of like many people who are mixed race is like they can never be white, as it were. Sometimes they pass. And sometimes they hear the comments of like some white people would say when they think they're like there's no black people around, it's just like, really? I'm half black. My father's black. It's like, oh, I didn't know. And then they'll say something about the Jews. It's like, my mother's Jewish. Really?
You don't look Jewish. But yeah, remember, what's her name? The wife of the pedophile who was running for Senate back in 2017, Roy Moore's wife, went on stage and said, "Our lawyer is a Jew," despite the fact that he had converted to conservative Christianity decades earlier. It's in the blood. You'll always be contaminated. They will put you up against the wall, no matter what.
Yeah, those are the Jewish community. If your mother is Jewish, you are Jewish as well. For their like a benefit.
That's a legalistic thing. Judaism has a weird relationship with ethnicity and culture. It's
true. Yeah. And there's also that kind of like divide too, because like people can be like culturally one thing and another. Culturally, their religion actually like.
Although, as far as Israel is concerned, if you're black, you're not Jewish. Right of return only applies to white-looking Jews.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're like a dark skin, you look too close to the Palestinians, which they want to.
And then if you get too close to the fence, who knows what might happen?
Yep.
Yeah.
But like back to like the previous conversation about like socialism stereotypes, as it were. Unfortunately, even liberals can like have this like problem. They will even ask me why you have a smartphone when you're not going to syndicalist. And to which I have to say, motherfucker, you tried to live like in this society without a smartphone.
I am forced to live in the world that has been made by assholes. I don't support assholism. I just put up with it.
It's as Chris Yossi had said, listen, basically every like socialist and anarchist and communist is like living in cognitive dissonance. We're forced to, essentially, because like yes, but also we got to remember that other people have like brought this up, like even Abigail Thorne in like her really old video about like Elon Musk, which is capitalism, that like, no, you can enjoy the things that are products of the capitalist system, as it were, even the stuff that's mostly bred in circus and most just meant to distract you from like the ills of the world, something like that. If you enjoy the Transformers, yes, go ahead, enjoy Transformers. Enjoy Star Wars, yes, go ahead, enjoy Star Wars. It's like you can find enjoyment, which goes into a criticism that like a comrade of mine has about certain leftist content creators, is where, do we really need a video about the politics of Stranger Things? It's Stranger Things. Yes, it takes place in the 80s. Yes, you can definitely talk about the misogyny in there, as it were, but we can just enjoy a thing, as it were.
It has misogyny, it has racism, it has homophobia, it has patriarchal bullshit with Cop Dad. I mean, it has all that stuff.
What about like rappers who spend like millions of dollars on shoes?
It's their money, honestly. Go ahead.
I think that's probably honestly part of the kayfabe.
Yes.
That's the what?
Kayfabe. That is a term from wrestling, where the wrestlers pretend to be the characters sort of full time. So Stone Cold Steve Austin isn't actually Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's a character that Steve Austin is playing, right? And for a lot of rappers, the rap persona is kayfabe. It's a character they're putting on. Like the guys from NWA were middle class kids. They weren't street level gangsters. You know, they weren't out there dealing drugs and getting shot. I mean, some rappers were getting shot, but
which is why 50 Cent was kind of like, that was
he was exactly who I was thinking of there.
Yeah, because he actually has like apparently, at least at the time that he became big, he still had a couple of slugs in him, apparently, according to him, as well, which is probably possible because sometimes medically, as well. And then again, there's a gets in poverty thing. Sometimes you can't afford to like get that out there. Sometimes you just get used to it. It's just like cause you pain every once in a while. Oh, and maybe for him, it's just like, I'm used to it by now. It's like, it's now kind of part of me. So it's like,
I used to like Eminem back in the day.
I mean,
he was an amazing rapper.
Yes,
he is, as far as I can tell. But
Eminem actually spoke a lot to me because I never grew up in the hood. So he was like, he was kind of like that, like Marilyn. He had that Marilyn Manson vibe to him, where he was like, "Fuck authority, fuck," you know.
Yeah. There's definitely that. Marilyn Manson, I love his music, but like I can't.
He
like
is an abusive piece of shit, like Johnny Depp.
Yes.
David Warner. His name David Warner, right?
Marilyn Manson's name is actually David Warner. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yes, but like, the Marilyn Manson.
He chooses to go by Marilyn Manson, so yeah.
Yes, as it could be like it's a stage name, as like who am I thinking of? Oh, someone who has
Lady Gaga.
But like, yeah, that's a good example of like a stage name. She has a real actual name. She is not Lady Gaga on her driver's license, as or like Prince is not Prince's driver's license, or Simba when he had to like get out of like a contract that he didn't want to be a part of and legally changed it.
Remember when they used to think Marilyn Manson started school shootings? Remember that?
That really was a thing. Columbine was blamed on Marilyn Manson, even though the Columbine kids never listened to any Marilyn Manson.
But they wore black, and he wore black, and therefore Jews.
They like MK. What's that German rock metal band?
Rammstein? Oh, KMFDM.
Yeah, that one.
Kein Mitleid für die Mehrheit.
Yeah. At same place to stand-up comedians, a person on stage is often persona. Exactly, Metro. Sometimes there's Ricky Gervais. Exactly, David. Exactly. I'm secretly not all of a sudden in the dark. That's not my legal name. I'm sorry, everyone. I've been lying to you. I'm not some random geek. My real name is Jonathan Scott. And that's public knowledge. So it's like, I'm not hiding that.
Oh my God, you just doxed yourself. The fuck?
Okay, the first time I was ever on a Hangout, I logged in with my Google account to the Google Hangout, and so it was my legal name. And so I joined the Hangout. Hi, Jonathan Scott. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm not gonna like try to pretend to like hide it, even though I could, because like it was like a very small hangout. Only a few people were watching it, and from years ago, I don't know if the channel's still up, honestly, because I haven't checked. But like I decided just like, oh fuck it, I'll go by Summer and a Geek as a branding name as word because I like that as a branding name. But I'm Johnson Scott. You can, I don't care as word. I even walk into my apartment on like a hangout one time on my phone, and so it's just like if people really want to know where I live, they can probably dig and try to find it. So that's why I just like don't care about the concern about doxing personally.
You just heard Jonathan's kink is you hunting him down and doing things to him. He just said it.
I mean, my legal name I like my legal name to be Tabby, and that's another thing too as well, because like with the trans thing, because I happen to like, but some people do want to like who are like streamers or performers and probably want to like keep that private as well. So it's like unless I know otherwise, unless they kind of like Tabby does want Tabby to be her legal name, so like that's the thing. But like
Tabby
others.
No, Tabby the Wolf.
She's a wolf.
Legal names in the U.S. are weird. I mean,
Yeah.
there's documents and stuff, but you're allowed to call yourself whatever you want, and you can even start signing stuff with that as your name, and that would be perfectly legal, so long as you're not doing it for fraudulent purposes. Don't take legal advice from a podcast, but that's how I understand how the U.S. law works. It's just that for some official documents, like really, really serious stuff, they might not recognize it, and it might be a problem.
Right.
Like tax forms and shit.
But I gotta run, guys, because
Sure
I gotta finish up and then I gotta run to the library right quick. But I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Thank you for this. We'll continue the conversation.
And remember that your Royal Navy cosplay is historically accurate. There were black people in the Navy.
Yes.
And yes, Isaiah, you can buy things and still be a socialist, anarchist, and communist, as it were. And
you can enjoy things and have passions and have fun.
Yes, you can enjoy things that are made under capitalism, even though they're made under capitalism. We can still because no ethical production under capitalism. That's not this. It used to be no ethical consumption under capitalism, but like and say if you have.
Well, it's like sometimes people will they'll give you shit for like buying something, but then it's like the people who give you shit, they're not angels, because like there's a lot of people who go to protests and they'll like complain about certain things, but then they'll like run to Chipotle and grab something to eat, and it's like I mean, you're supporting a company, so like a corporation, so
well, someone has.
We all have to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like the worst. I mean, eBay, but I guess I'm helping private sellers because it's not. But eBay's a corporation, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
eBay is the middleman, but you can buy from like private sellers as well. Just like Etsy, they serve as a storefront. They get a little cut from these transactions, but like you are buying mainly from private sellers.
eBay, Patreon, Amazon, they all take their cut. And you can support independent production through it.
Yeah, PayPal. Elon Musk has a portion of PayPal, but like many people, maybe trans people, and many people use PayPal as a way to like receive money for donations as well. But
I haven't used Amazon in a long ass time. I try as much as I can to avoid Amazon, but
going through local sellers is better. But there's.
I mean, my friends are Twitch streamers, and like I still have a Twitch channel, and that's owned by Amazon. So it's like,
but you said you had to go, Isaiah, so we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you guys next week. Hopefully I'll have off next week, so we can just bullshit and just shoot the shit.
What we weren't bullshitting and shooting shit just now?
We
were having a very serious discussion about cats.
Well, yeah. When I'm at home and just don't have any obligations or something.
Mm-hmm. I always steal from local producers. David, before I forget, before I forget about names and like has names as opposed to legal names or names, it's like Muhammad Ali did like say that like I want to be called Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, that was a full name change. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he converted to Islam and changed his name, away from his Christian slave name, to his new name. He actually beat the shit out of someone who refused to call him by his new name.
And see, this is why it's important to revert people to the name they want to be referred by. It's not that hard. Now you're not necessarily
unless you're a drug addicted Canadian piece of shit.
Oh yeah, Jordan Peterson. Yeah, exactly. But for the people who like decide to not to do it, they are and knowingly not to do it. If you don't know, that's like fine. It's no bill. But if you knowingly doing it, saying the wrong name unintentionally, yeah, you're just being a dick as well. Yeah, there was a one boxer that was constantly doing it to like the tilt Muhammad Ali to try to get him off his game, as it were. If he did that off the ring too, after the fight,
I mean, even in the ring, it's a dick move.
It's a dick move anyway. Yeah, exactly. It's just like a low punch in this war. But like, yeah, so that's why it's important to respect the names for whatever reason. But to the legal name change too. So my dad, yeah, I'm fine with like telling this. I think I told the story before, and like his how public he is. It's like it's fine. He is he grew up with a stepfather because his biological father, my biological grandfather, died when my dad was 2. Train accident. It was foggy night. He didn't see the red blinking lights to indicate a train's coming. So it's hard on the whole family, as you can imagine, as it were. But the my grandmother, my dad's mom, remarried to someone else who. All I know of his name is that my dad referred to him as DP, while his younger brother, my uncle, refers to him as that man. And that's terrible stepdad thing of like removing the photos of like the previous, the biological father, the previous dad, with him. So that's why once my dad had the opportunity to, and my uncles too, they changed their legal last name to Scott, the name of my biological grandfather, his biological dad, as opposed to the previous last name he had. So. But even for like when like my uncle was then telling me this for his like thing when he has to do like legal paperwork and stuff like that, he has to have that document of the legal name changed as well as like a birth certificate. So it's just like, wait a minute, you live on this? I know, yeah, I was under this name, but this is my name. So let's make sure that like let's get it right. It's like those are 2 different names, but it's the same person. So even cis people can run into the difficulties that trans people have with like name changes in our current legal system as it is.
Japan does it very differently. I mean, not only is it much easier, but you don't even have to like go to court and file all these documents. Instead, they basically just have these little automated kiosks set up throughout their cities and towns, where you just go and you do a little thing, and you can change a whole lot of stuff that requires so much more work here in the U.S. So you can change names. I don't know if you can change gender there yet. They're kind of conservative.
I think it's difficult to change gender there.
But there's so many things you can do just by going up to this official computer, putting in an information card, and just boop, boop, boop. And it's just a very different setup over there.
I think there is actually a visual novel game like this, like made in like Ren Pre. One Night Hot Springs, as it were. It's the original game is like free on Steam, or like if it's not free, there's also future games, and it's like actually so here's the Steam page for One Night Hot Springs that people can check out.
One Night Hot Springs is a visual novel. Play as Haru, a young transgender woman, and join her at the hot springs in Japan. Content warning, this game is for all ages, but it discusses issues that a transgender woman in Japan might face, which is a topic that can be sensitive and personal.
See, I like that. Content warning, saying that like, hey, maybe...
Oh my god, you're so triggered, Libs.
But it's like content warning. It's like, this is what we're talking frank about, like this sort of things. However, the game itself is for all ages. So see, people, just because something is like for mature audiences, because they're talking about sensitive topics, or sometimes using curse words, or just like playing M-rated games, doesn't mean it restricts that thing to be only 18 plus. Alluding to like a comment that like Tavi had earlier about like allowing teens into like spaces where they can learn about things like consent and sex and all that other stuff. Just because we're talking about sex or even queer issues doesn't mean we have to restrict the space to be like 18 plus. yeah, some people are just like, I don't want to be an educator, just here to play video games. Okay, that's fine. But I don't want to have teenagers here because I don't want to be an educator. And it's just like, okay, I think that if the platform doesn't allow you to do that, so like I don't think it is. YouTube allows you to do that, and certainly if you want spaces that only adults because you don't want to deal with teenagers, yeah, your own private Facebook group, you can do that.
Facebook itself makes it very difficult to change things.
Is, but you can set up a own group that's
Mhm.
private, and you only allow in whoever you want to allow in. So that's why you can also like filter out like trolls essentially, because you have to agree to like these rules and like and actually put in your own answer for like certain things. So you can like, okay, yeah, this person is cool because it's like, how many genders are as many as stars in the sky? Because if that person says there are only 2 genders, like you're gone, swipe right or swipe left.
Swipe down, up and down. Why would you do right and left? Up and down. It's so much more intuitive.
The last time I was on Tinder, which was briefly and years ago, and didn't make any matches, honestly, or didn't seek it out, honestly, or I didn't get any matches. I don't think. I never got on.
Hey, you want unsolicited dick pics? Tinder and Facebook
well,
and Twitter and real life.
I'm a non-binary. I'm a man, so I don't get those often. I did get one helicopter meme in my DMs one time on Twitter. Oh, yes, only one time. Not as many as others, and only one. Only a few times I get the comments like, "Living non-binary is not a thing." Oh, fuck you. I know I don't know stuff. But what was like, we're going in multiple directions, and the conversations, like we were talking about, like the name chains.
We have directions in our conversations. We're
No,
anarchists. We live a life of aimless wandering.
It's just a bunch of rambles. I guess like then like we can open it up of like what other kind of like we get this can be an ongoing thing with Isaiah, because I think Isaiah talks to a lot of people that are conservative. Well, being in Florida, that's kind of like inevitable. And the end is like adopted mother is white and conservative, so there's a whole lot of like things that are going on there essentially. Especially raising him and I say too, the black autistic teenager or kid, no, adult. But anyway.
Well, no, let's be honest, 28 is a kid, but
but black and autistic and a marginalized person, while like she is like a white woman, woman marginalized, but like a white conservative woman in America, though. So
Florida, no less.
In Florida, no less. Yeah, so I bet like they has like if they know that like he's like lean socialistic or a bit of a socialist, they'll have all these kind of concerns, because like it's like like
all socialism is Stalinism.
Period.
Close quote. My dad.
My dad too, I bet. Oh, again, as I said before, my dad thinks like Sweden is like socialist because of like 65% tax rate.
Socialism is when the government does things. The more things the government does, the socialister it is.
If the government does everything, then it's communism.
Americans don't know shit.
They were just purposely misled. I think there was like a book that like apparently a lot of people read, but did actually like someone else I was talking to that I don't talk to anymore, just for other reasons though. They poofed. They said they found in the book is like, oh my god, no wonder so many Americans think this way. That communism, government does everything. Socialism, government does most things. Capitalism, government does like some things. Anarchism, no government. This all came from this book, and it's like, well, I definitely know that, like, say the Koch brothers, or Koch brother, as it were, because like it's Charlie's Koch is still alive, and David and Charlie had other brothers too. They were just never as politically active as like
they bought them out and technically robbed them.
Yes. So they just live off their own and didn't bother anyone. So it's like those two, the other two Koch brothers can totally definitely live, because as far as I know, they haven't done anything terribly dickish as like to fuel the Tea Party with dark money and like primary out some of the other.
When the revolution comes, we won't necessarily kill all the rich people.
We'll
definitely take all their shit.
Yes, as forcefully take their shit if we have to, because if they still want their leverage of power over others, then just like you got to like no, we can't have this. We just no, you're not. We don't want you in our world where you want to have control over others. No, and or power over others. And where was I? Oh, okay, so and that's one thing that like leads a lot of people to like if they feel one way or another.
Trying to pick up the cat. There we go. Oh, and he does not.
I am reading the meme right now. It's kind of like
there we go. Well done, Sasha. Finally.
I'm confused by the meme too.
Which meme is this? Oh,
the one that you have, the one that you have on the stream right now.
It's just meant to be a dark joke.
Okay. Oh, okay, because we have like sextoy dildos, and it's just like, I see. I got the connection now. Oh, and stop video for some reason. If this, oh yeah, that's right, Emily Chambers. That's right. Florida is the Ron DeSantis land. Sadly, the guy who wants us to not say gay, wants it don't say gay.
He's like Trump, but a little bit smarter.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hello, the city of the free councils, mood, I guess, or you just like heard part of the conversation and just like, oh god, yeah, is that sort of thing. So I'm trying to think of like other common stereotypes that like conservatives have. Like, oh yeah, okay, here's another common stereotype that I heard all the time, and it's just become a meme at this point. They think that like we as communists want to like take everyone's stuff and then just automatically redistribute it to everyone else.
We'll have to share spoons.
No, we
don't have to. See, that's
spoons.
Personal property. We'll take private property. There's a difference. You don't know about it because you don't know anything about communism.
If you are using the apartment that you're in currently, we're not going to bust through your doors. It's give us your kitchen, and it's because like, so okay, this.
Personal property is stuff you use. Private property is stuff you make money from owning.
Yes.
We'll take private property, not personal property.
It's like all those empty homes that are just like investment, as it were. Because this is part of like
no more landlords under communism.
Right, exactly. This is part of the use. There's a distinction between like exchange value and use value. There's the use value of you eating that bread. You get substance from the bread and probably enjoyment from that bread. Or like you use parts of the bread to like into a sandwich and enjoy that sandwich. You got use value out of that as well and just enjoyment. But exchange value is where it's like, oh yeah, that bread is there or the wheat is there, but we're not actually going to be using that wheat. We're going to be speculating on the prices of the wheat in the stock market, stock exchange, as it were, and buying and selling weak stock, as it were. And that's where it's just like it again gets muddy, where it's just like the wheat is grown just so that like it can be like investment and speculation. But like if the stock market crashes and like no one's buying the stock of the wheat is not being sold as it is, and then so it can be left in silos to be rotting while people are starving, which is why the 2008 mega crash also caused a food shortage, because like not because like there wasn't food being farmed or grown. No, there was a lot of that, but the food was not being sold because people that had the wheat and was able to like had the wheat and owned the wheat either for investment or speculation could not sell the wheat because they could not sell the wheat for a profit, and thus the wheat was left in silos rotting. And this is a common thing in the capitalism is that
during the Great Depression you had farmers just dairy farmers dumping gallons of milk because they couldn't sell it. I mean, people needed the food wasn't being sold because they couldn't make money off it. Nobody was transporting it, shit like that. It's just fucking capitalism is monstrous.
DeSantis is smarter. He's generally a better interview. He seems to like at least not. Yeah, he's maybe we don't see him on Twitter as that much because he's also not like the president of the country yet. Hopefully not. And he's only in Florida.
Trump is very bad at interviews because he's just an incoherent individual.
Right. So that's probably to Emily Chambers' point that like DeSantis is just better in interviews than like Trump is, which is a fair point. but that's why also with houses, it's like many houses are bought by investors, and they bought those houses for the exchange value, not for the use value. This is
You
how
had a
you
lot of
get.
small landlords complaining about billionaires like the Koch brothers and Berkshire Hathaway, which is Buffett's thing,
Mhm.
coming in, buying up all the houses, driving up the price, and pricing them out of being able to buy more rental homes.
Uh,
It's just fucking awful out there for people now.
is I don't want COVID no more. Don't we
Oh, do
all,
you have the long
Lucifia?
COVID, Lucifia? That's awful. Or are you
It,
just tired of the plague?
or you got the COVID and you don't want the COVID anymore. Totally understandable either way, because like I hope it goes away, but I don't. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Which
Oh
is
no,
concerning.
COVID is never going away as a thing. It's
Yeah,
going to be cold, flu, and COVID season from now on.
unfortunately, because like there's a new variant has been discovered. With the type of Omicron variant is more transmittable. And yeah, landlords can go to hell, Lascivia, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
My concern is that it is going to be another surge in like cases in like COVID, because like a lot of people are taking the at-home test and don't have to report it to anyone, and it should be a good idea to like report to something of like so that others can be notified. There's an app that I have that's like can notify people if I test positive. But then again, it's just like since like you can just go back to like work as long as you mask up, it's like I got COVID in a few days, and I'm a few days in my quarantine. Oh, well, thank you for like quarantining yourself as word too, because like
I'm glad you're able to quarantine yourself.
that's another thing too. And hopefully it's going well for you and able to like you get the food you need, the sustenance you need, and hopefully it's like quarantine's not too long. But yeah, the quarantine period it used to be like 2 weeks, and now it's like maybe it's 5 days or 10 days. But if there's a surge in cases, will any local governments, this where I just given up on the federal government doing anything, honestly. But will local governments do something, and will other people follow the local government's ordinances if
Well,
there is anything?
if the local government is controlled by Democrats, they might do something. If it's controlled by
Right.
Republicans, they will not.
That's a
Republicans
given.
just want people to die because they're eugenicist assholes.
Yeah.
But
They
even the
want to.
Democrats aren't going to do much because they're neoliberal assholes. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're not going to do much.
we live in the worst timeline. I mean,
Mhm. And since so many liberals also want to be like done with like COVID as were, they're just like, it. At some businesses maybe you will say sorry you need to have like proof of vaccination at least, and then they maybe ask the masks as well, and they can set up their own guidelines too, and probably put some money
it'll
even
come
further.
down to how they view the cost benefit analysis. Will it be better for them? Will they be able to make more money if they force their employees to pay for protection?
Yes.
And Tim, is your house really liberated from a landlord, or is your bank your landlord? Buying a house doesn't necessarily liberate you in that way.
Mm. The 5 days for generally healthy people, 10 days for those immunocompromised, which is me. Oh, and you were immunocompromised too and got COVID. So that sucks. Sorry to hear that, Lasivia. Um,
I'm not sorry. I'm angry.
that's the appropriate response too. Uh, so back to like so like landlords and homes and that sort of thing. It's so like which is why when if like a revolution or uprising it happens and we finally have the opportunity to just like get rid of all landlords, I doubt it's going to happen legislatively. That's the word, because like many of the politicians are landlords themselves. So like,
Oh yeah. Or
but
they definitely become landlords after becoming politicians because you can make so much money being a politician. Because you have inside info, you're allowed insider trading. It is so. But
I mean, some of that insider trading should be illegal, but
it
yet
is
many
not
said
illegal.
but yeah, and it's like it's maybe at most of the scandal or something, or it's reporting news that like senators were selling stock before like Black Monday, essentially, because they knew
buying
that like
stocks and selling stocks based on things they knew were going to be ordered. Like so many senators made so much money off of COVID. It is, and then Nancy Pelosi says, "No, it shouldn't be a law that they have to put their investments in a double blind trust or anything like that. Just fucking neoliberal bullshit.
Yeah, agreed. Emily Chambers, medical ableist still thing. Happy Disabled Pride Month, everyone. But the disabled critics have always said, like, no, Pride's canceled. With this is Wrath Month. This is Disabled Wrath Month.
No more Pride, just Wrath.
Especially disabled people, by both, because I've had everyone has like stories. Disabled people's stories, and it's kind of funny how we mentioned also like One Night in the Hot Springs is where in trans issues, because Tabby has like mentioned this before, like going through her thing of like trying to prove no, I am actually disabled, so please, Social Security, give me money so I can live, because
no, we want you to die.
Is
again eugenics.
But yes, but they also like, well, you're taking this medication. What's this medication for? Is this probably like your pain, the side effects? That no, fuck you. I'm taking that because I'm trans. I need that for HRT. I got these boobs because of that. And so then it's the issue of like, this is my legal name, but please call me Tabby. And so that's my name. And Tabby has like said this before on this show. And in fact, that's just like, oh, I don't know anything about trans people. So what can you please tell me about trans people? It's like, you're a doctor that's paid 6 figures, and you want me to educate you about like trans people? No.
Doctors don't necessarily make 6 figures. Okay, the petite bourgeoisie. Okay, I mean, they're well off, but, they suffer too. Won't somebody think of the doctors? I'm definitely being... I think that one goes on sardonic. Not sarcastic, but sardonic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I ran into it with a TSA guy. Well, ableist is just like rampant throughout the society too.
Oh, the TSA being trans. Oof, woof, woof, woof. It's like Callie Wright. Callie Gets It on Twitter. They podcast Queer Splaining. They talked about going through TSA and how it took years before they didn't get abused and assaulted going through TSA, because no matter what gender you put in, when you go through the scanner, it always flags you as an anomaly, and then you get groped.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Anarcho-Tomunists, how you doing? I keep getting like a Nancy Pelosi text is asking for money all the time. It's so annoying. You can actually type stop to that if it's an automatic thing, or it should be able to.
You should, yeah.
Disabled sexual wrath. Yes,
they tried to take your fucking... God damn, I hope you did hit them with it.
Because like the reason why my dad started to study the cane and the martial arts of the cane is because like he even knows about it, like it's the one weapon you can actually take onto an airplane, as it were, and he needed the cane because he had surgery, as it were, it's like not on his leg, but it happened to his leg. He also had to get the surgery for like his ligaments too, so it's like he actually did need the cane. Because and that's another thing. Tabby was having in conversation with others and like her Discord server with like some people who say things like, I may need to get a cane because like I nearly collapsed at like a grocery store. I think honestly we got to perpetuate this as well. If you feel like you need a cane for your physical limitations, whatever it is, yes, you should go get a cane if you feel like you can get a lot of use out of it. Fortunately, there's so much internalized ableism as in this society that like some people question, should I get a cane? So much so that like Tabby didn't speak to herself or to like her wife and like or people that she knows, that like it was a struggle for some people to admit, okay, I do need a cane after they nearly collapsed or like did collapse, that I probably should get a cane and so that sort of things. Even Phoenix, I gotta remember, give Phoenix money. Their links are in charitylinks.page, so you can also find the GoFundMe, share that around. I'll find the GoFundMe right now and share that link again into the live chat, because they could really use the money. Joanna Roberts also can use the money too. Both Phoenix
Charity Links page. So many people, basically trans and disabled people. Not all trans people. I mean, Caitlyn Jenner can fuck off and die, but
Yes.
Trans and disabled people are almost certainly struggling.
It's right, because the intersections of ableism and like queer and cisgender patriarchy is the word. Joanna Roberts actually is queer herself. I had to like ask because I didn't know if she was queer, but like asexual biromantic or something like that. But she's also trying raising her trans NB son, who's finally coming home this last week, or it happened already. The county took away Joanna Roberts like a trans NB son, but now Joanna Roberts, through a lot of donations from me in order to like get the proper paperwork and proper cards and everything, and Casey, Joanna Roberts' son, is coming back home, and now Casey will finally be in a place where he's not constantly misgendered all the time. I told them that that's my mobility aid, and then like with a big grin, and he was like, "Oh, that's what you need to say." My first thought was like, I'm not a dog trained to bark when you say speak. Hey, to my toy, get my toy back. Oh, okay. So everyone that's used to decaying, and it's like, say, this is my mobility aid, and that's all. You just have to. Unfortunately, you have to do it every time. They're apparently TSA is like wanting you to say that as well. So, and then hopefully they won't give you guff or trouble for like having a cane if it is your mobility aid. But it's kind of interesting, like last week. So I'm watching a streamer, a small streamer that's a friend of my friend Necronomicon. Necronomicon's friend, Poison Apple Society, was just like chatting, and as she's playing, what was she was playing Minecraft? Yes, that's what. But someone mentioned it's Disability Pride Month. And she mentioned of like her own disability. She was in a car accident. That's unfortunate. It's happened. That's what happened to Phoenix, and the source of like the majority of their physical disability. Hey, so Poison Apple Society is like disability. I love how she's described it too. She knows the spoon theories, but like this is a good like way to explain it for her own physical conditions. Is that there are wind-up toys, so you just wind up, winding up, and then after you wind up, that's where finally it starts going. But as it continues going, it starts slowing down as it loses the wind-up. That's how she can describe her physical conditions, as like the more she keeps going, the slower she'll get, because the more like her bones in her hips or her back will kind of locks up and grinds up, so it causes her to like slow down. And she also said that she nearly collapsed like one time too, or just had to like sit down for a long time to rest up and get to wind up again, essentially. So that's a good like way to describe like some folks is like physical distances, where especially since like no, they need to sit down somewhere. Some people can't stand for long periods of times, which just prevents them from being able to get employment, because like working at Target, working on like in McDonald's, yeah, you're expected to stand for 8 hours a day as work. Yeah, you will get your breaks and your lunch as a word, but you're expected to stand for long periods of time. And also, as many like see people can tell us as where, yeah, I can't choose my hours, because there or if I'm functioning in on days, because I have high pain days, and so there will be days that like I can't function, let alone get out of bed, or I use up all my spoons just to take a shower. So like they can't work on someone else's schedule at all, which is why employment is difficult or near impossible for them to get it. And then trying to prove that to SSDI or SSI is just like, SSI if you never worked before, SSDI if you have worked before. Again, Tabby S like told her story where she did get it, and admits that like after years of working on it to finally get SSDI, it's a lot of that is owed up to like her white privilege. And so she recognized that, and that's true for us. But there's others that like even like just can't get it, because they'll be like, "Whoa, you well, no, you're not disabled. You're just depressed." So it's just
That's
like
a disability. Fuck you.
exactly. Hey, Sarah Britt told us their story on their stream like months ago, and that's trying to remember it, because like the VOD's gone, but like it's kind of like you just have to, oh no, you're depressed. You just like find a therapist and like get the medication so you're not as depressed and continue working. Do you have any good therapists that you can recommend that I can find right now that is cheap? They were tempted to just like talk back to the person who said like, oh no, you're fine, you should be fine, just like if fix your depression and you can continue work again. and it's just like, that's why you're not giving me disability as well. And their conditions, like it's like it got worse as they describe it. It's like the headache that just never goes away. It's like ebbs and flows, and then the pain in the legs, that like was the original thing that caused them to want to like get uh a disability, because like they can't stand for long periods of time, so they can't work on like other people's like schedule. Not every time this guy decided to be an asshole, never withheld by TSA before. Oh, so this one guy who said that's a weapon, as the word, just one fucking hell. So just like with all of these kind of positions of powers, when you create these positions of power, some people like, even if it's shit pay, they'll take these positions of power because they have power over others and they like to wield that. Which is why I'm not in favor of cops at all, let alone in this particular country, this particular world, this particular society, full of white supremacy, ableism, etc., patriarchy, imperialism, etc., colonialism, because there's a lot of people that like are privileged from all those things and think they should still be privileged and still be top of a food chain and would like to wield power over others. Or they are, it's like, oh, if I'm working borders and control, I get to like whip some like people, or totally.
They want to be overseers. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and have power control over black and brown people or desperate people is where it's all terrible. I know this doesn't need to be stated, but the TSA is one of the most like disgusting and unethical agencies in the world. Yeah, definitely happens a lot of problems. Anarcho-Tomunists said tankies and being like a thing post USSR. It's proof enough that there's like out of touch reality. I agreed. Fuck this world. Screw it. Let's just like censored. Yes, just like, because far free revelation. I don't know what you were going for, but I'm guessing something that like if we see it,
I'm not saying that we should, burn everything down, riot, destroy things, and maybe break a Starbucks window, but
Yeah. So what has happened in the news? Anyone? Because like I'm catching up on my podcast, but I'm kind of like a bit delayed in the last week. So
yeah, I'm still catching up. So my podcasts are still reacting to Roe being overturned.
Yeah, there's that. I've listened to like Debacles now covering about the January 6th thing, and it's just like, and there is the election.
Okay, honest opinion. Do you think Trump will ever be put on trial for that shit?
Trump on trial for January 6th specifically? No. I can't imagine him being on trial for other things like in New York district, as or for like the other things like property laws or just like fraudulent things like that. I can't imagine that. Will he go to jail for it is another question, though. And I seriously,
they'll probably put him on some sort of suspended sentence, house arresting, because he's old and that's the compassionate thing to do. Yes. But yeah, he's also being threatened with criminal charges in Georgia related to his attempt to overthrow the election.
The phone call with the Secretary of State, or like that sort of person, just find me 11,000 votes. Just find me 11,000 votes.
Yep. The YouTube channel Legal Eagle and the podcast Opening Arguments are both covered these sorts of things really well. And I got to say, if you're into dudes, the guy who does Legal Eagle on YouTube, he's a very pretty man.
He is a hunk, yes. I have to admit that too. He is a hunk.
So it makes him, it makes it easier to watch and listen to him. And he did recently, like in the past few weeks, he did a thing covering all the crimes Trump could be charged with, and some of the difficulties with them, because some of them require proving malicious intent.
Yeah.
Which it's not an impossible standard, but it's somewhat difficult. And basically it means that Trump and his family could argue that they're so stupid they didn't know they were committing a crime. And that would be a legal defense.
Oh God, I can easily believe that because I think the whole like Russia gate of like 2016. Yes, Trump just said Russia if you're listening, blah blah blah. But I think the most you can prove is that like Russia people talk with like Trump's campaign's people to set up arrangement there. Was there election tampering from like Russia? It's definitely possible.
Oh, I mean,
But
they definitely engaged in shit. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
but I don't know how big an effect it was. I mean, the fact is that Trump was an open white supremacist,
Mhm.
and the open white supremacists said, "Fucking finally," you know,
Yes.
and they came out in droves for him. So,
It worked in the Republican primary too, as well,
mhm.
which surprised many people. But like since like those
Everybody
primaries were,
thought it was going to be Ted Cruz, I think, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Trump came out of nowhere to whitewash the elections.
Yeah, just drop the masks entirely, drop all the euphemisms, just like was open and front about that. It's about like Mexicans not sending the best and all that sort of thing. Before that, I wanted to like mention the other things that are happening in the live chat, because back to like the conversation about the TSA and like ableism. Tavi said may also be like different cultures in different airports. Also, housemate sat me down with like help to calm me down after and told me about times TSA did that to his like blind mother with his white and red cane, motherfucker. And like Emily Chambers also directed that. Yeah, TSA hates and has boners for red and white canes. They're fucking blind. They're just.
Are they really, or are they Daredevil and that's a weapon?
It's just oh god. And some people can have like be able to see some things but can't see everything. So, like it's like they can see the light, they can see shapes, but it's like all blur, so they can't tell if that is a sidewalk or that's if like a curve. And so they'll need something to help them with that.
I note that they don't scrape it on the ground; they hold it above the ground, because otherwise it would get worn the fuck out. But
yeah, exactly. So they're not dragging it there too, but it's just like, oh god, please, people. That's just like one of the many things. I hate this country. I hate this world. I hate many people. Ted Cruz, the Canadian, yes. Rafael Cruz as well. Rafael Cruz. I think he is like Cuban because his father is Cuban too, and like it's kind of interesting. I think I heard it from someone who is half Cuban, and like it says like that Ted Cruz is a race traitor, and I can honestly totally get that and understand that because like, jeez, who knows if like if he's
no, I mean he's a typical Cuban, Cuban immigrant because wet foot, dry foot. Wet foot Cubans, they're the ones who came by boat, and they're the ones who get turned away. Dry foot Cubans came by plane, and they're allowed to stay. Wet foot means you're poor, dry foot means you're rich. Therefore, the Cuban American community vote Republican because they are overwhelmingly the rich refugees fleeing the terrors of socialist Cuba.
Yeah, exactly. And if they're white passing, because like Pitbull is Cuban, but he's white passing, and many white passing people of Hispanic heritage too, that they don't get like odd discriminations that like other people do, even within families. I know someone that like it's a friend of Taffy and mine's that like is a person of color, has dark skin, and so they get all the shit and crap from like even around some. I don't know if they got them in like Southern California, but they did mention that like they got some of the discriminations are like just the microaggressions in like Minnesota. Again, they had to leave Minnesota because of the discrimination they got for being trans, and they're now in like rural and then like bumfuck rural Indiana, and that's all they're saying, and that's fair.
That was in the news.
Yes.
Because of the 10-year-old girl who had to flee Ohio in order to get an abortion.
That's right.
She fled for the liberal state of Indiana. Motherfucker, definitionally. She could not have consented to that. That is.
Yeah,
and she could not survive that. I mean, you go through female or feminizing puberty, and that's when your pelvis widens. She would not have been able to survive that. This mother, God.
And the right-wing media is
redacted.
The right-wing media who wants to like own the libs essentially. That's what the Douglas want to do, and
they
the
want to
Fox
kill
News-
people. They want.
They do. Mhm. And so they're just questioning this 10-year-old story, and like no, it's like and people who are like that work at abortion clinics and like and do this kind of like reproductive rights and services can tell you it's like no, the 10-year-olds getting raped. It's a lot more common in this country than you want to believe.
10-year-olds getting married in this fucking country.
Yes.
Fucking so-called conservative Christians. God.
Yep, I bet that's still illegal in like many states. Welcome to
And
America.
I say this as a father of daughters. That's why I care about this. I fucking hate motherfuckers. Don't care until it impacts them personally.
Yes, yep, theocratic fascism. What a note to end on. Any positive news? Anything like that? Any good movies recently or TV shows?
Thor: Love and Thunder was okay.
Okay,
It wasn't phenomenal, but it was good. Jane Foster got a good arc for her character. She got to be strong. She got to be kind of goofy. It wasn't the phenomenon that Thor Ragnarok was, but it was a good movie.
Satan is a Slovenian hockey player. I can actually believe that. I can honestly believe that. People who think the Democratic states are safe from like anti-humanitarian policies such as like anti-abortion and stuff, you have to like no idea what the reality is. And I just remember about Indiana. Don't forget that was the state that like Mike Pence was governor of just before he became vice president.
I'm a Christian first, a Republican second, an American third. Mother, am I allowed to talk to this woman? No, she's a slut whore. Okay, I'll stay away from her. Fucking working with the goddamn Billy Graham rule.
Oh yeah. Pitbull doesn't like pass by human farming. He doesn't. Frankly, he's not even like white-ish. I mean, yeah, that's also kind of like who yes too, because like yeah, definitely. Which is like why I don't understand.
Yeah,
like,
he's very white passing, but you can say that he's an immigrant.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and yet some people, anti-feminists or anti-SJWs, said like, "Come on, I'm Puerto Rican. You can't be discriminating against me." It's just like, okay, yeah, but you're white passing, so you just like you don't have like a lot of the issues that other Hispanics have that like suffer in this country too. So it's like, again,
and Puerto Rico itself suffers so much thanks to us.
It is part of the United States. So anyone that comes from Puerto Rico to the contiguous United States, they did not.
He's not an immigrant.
They're a U.S. citizen. They're just part of a U.S. Commonwealth.
But now they can vote.
Yes. Yes. Democratic states is also a oxymoron, by the way. You have the government by the power. You have the government by the people, or government by unaccountable, unelected oligarchs. You can't have both. Exactly. That's. Yeah. A lot of people think that like this is a democracy, as Lin Wu has like stated before. How can we call ourselves a democracy when we don't have full suffrage because like felons can't vote? As we're and. Someone to like throw it back and it's like, oh, children can't vote either. So it's just like, okay, so it's just like you're saying that like, yes, it's like we have unfair democratic things like the electoral college, the Senate, which is not proportional.
We are a deeply right-wing nation by design. We were intended to be ruled by oligarchs.
Yes, exactly.
That's what they meant by worrying about the tyranny of the majority.
Yes, so and I try to say it's like, so you're fine with what we have now, the tyranny and minority, because either like just 6 out of like 9 of a Supreme Court can decide things, or like at least just 51 out of like 100 of senators can decide things for us, and you're fine with that. Yeah, or at least decide for us in like not passing anything. And you're right, Ataka teacher. It's a republic. The democratically elected with democratic representatives, elected representatives. It's a republic, which I have thrown it into like my liberals friends' faces. Like, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. It's like,
Fluid
does
Voice,
that make it good? Fluid Voice is the show that like Awesome.
Is that Ozma?
Yeah, Ozma's in the Dark Test show.
That's why it sounds familiar.
Which Isaiah said, Taylor said, like, it's going to be on, like, not this week's, but not tonight's show,
Yep.
next week's show, the 31st is where. And
Comedy,
last week,
coping, and news with Dick Rickles.
yes. And also last week, our friend, the Indigenous Heretic, Julius Fire Lame Deer, was on to talk about, like, racism in queer spaces. Because, yes,
God.
if like, if
when
black
Wayne Brady went on as Barney Stinson on the How I Met Your Mother as his gay black brother. And they said, we got that brother and sister team. She was a little bit country. He was a little bit way into black guys. I remember reading an article by a gay black man, brought a guy home and the guy was super into black guys. There's a lot that the racist bullshit around the sexualization of black men. Feet to Signifier recently did a nice long video essay about the sexualization of black men.
I mean, so yep. I mean, Monty Leonopolis talks about how much he's in love with.
He loves his black husband. Oh no, wait, no, they're still married, but he's not. He's there, but they don't do that. Oops, sorry about some music sting, but I'm now sharing a link in the chat to Feet to Signifier's thing. The video he recently did on the objectification of black men. It's just the white supremacist bullshit, the hypersexualization of black people.
So yeah, definitely. Just because you're of one marginalized group doesn't mean you can't be like terrible, bigoted, or like perpetuate other. And there goes my video again. You cannot perpetuate other terrible, like oppressive, like systems of oppression, and because you're part of one marginalized group. Because if you're white, you're still bad from white supremacy.
And you can participate in the marginalization of your own group.
Yes. Oh, yes. Eternalize queer privilege, eternalize ableism, it's eternalize white supremacy. It's totally a thing. And
as a cishet white guy, I participate in the marginalization of cishet white guys by having gay friends.
Yeah, Milo totes straights now.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's a
totally a real thing and not at all a cash grab.
Right, and like Lucidia said, it's a republic because the founding fathers had like boners for like Roman and Greek empires, and said the model is best preserved. It's the best model to preserve their power. Yeah, because the American Revolution was a bourgeoisie revolution of the rich white man wanted to just like not pay taxes, wanted to expand it westward into the Ohio Valley, and wanted to continue owning slaves. That's how.
Do you recall? There was the Constitution was not the original founding document of the U.S.
Right.
And do you recall why they switched from the Articles of Confederation to the Constitution? What was the inciting incident?
It was the Whiskey Rebellion, right?
Nope. I believe that was in the 90s. That came after and was in response to taxes.
Yes.
The typical excuse for the switch given in U.S. textbooks is that there were trade disputes or taxing disputes on the rivers that form the boundaries. Which state has the authority to tax trade along that river, and who can grant monopolies and so on?
Right.
And so they found the thing. And then, of course, in response to those trade disputes, naturally, you would set up a small governing body that has authority over those things, sets up the taxes and monopolies, and then distributes the funds between the two states at the boundary. Or you rewrite the entire thing and create a strong federal government, transforming it from a collection of independent nations into a single nation which no one can leave.
Yep.
It was not because of the trade disputes. The trade disputes was what allowed them to do it, but the reason they did that is because the poors were participating in direct democracy. And that terrified the rich white men.
Yes, they absolutely hated direct democracy, which is why they created all those things.
They set it up so that the rich would rule. It's deliberately designed to be an oligarchy.
Yes, hence why the Electoral College, the 3/5 like a thing, like the Supreme Court, the Senate as it is.
You're only allowed to vote if you own property. That was the original conception, at least. And then the people you're allowed to vote for, at the federal level, you only vote for representatives.
Yes.
Then you don't vote for the president. You vote for rich men to decide who gets to be president. You don't vote for the senators. You vote for your local state senate and Congress who decide who gets to be the senator. And then you don't vote at all for anyone for the courts. The president and the Senate decide who gets to be on the courts for life. So the wealthy choose among the uber wealthy who gets to be president and senator, and then the uber wealthy decides among the uber wealthy who gets to be on the court. It's fucking oligarchs all the way down.
Yes.
A Bactrian is not a kind of German. A Bactrian is a kind of camel. Sorry, Anarcho-Media. Gauls, Celts, Saxons, Goths. Bactrian is a camel.
Yeah, exactly. The Romans did a lot of colonization. That's the word.
Oh, yeah. So did the Greeks. There were Greek
yes.
colonies planted all over Turkey and North Africa and Sicily. And they were everywhere.
So that's why when like other empires grow, like England, the British Empire, they're kind of like, I'm worried from watching you, and then America would we just pick up the torch essentially from the British Empire. But anyway, we talked enough. That's the words. We filled up like over 100 minutes. So charity links on page. Make sure to like help out.
Give money to our queer, trans, and disabled friends. Yes, absolutely.
I'm Summer Geek on YouTube, Summer Geek on Twitch, and Summer Geek on Twitter. If I have to like not come in on Sundays from now on for some reason, I'll probably like start streaming on Sundays. But like, we'll see if I continue streaming in Zora. I honestly have a reason that I'm not streaming, but it's not a great reason. I want to catch up on like VODs that I want to like listen back to, so I want to like spend my evenings listening to VODs.
Oh, Joey's here.
Yeah, Joey's always been here. They've been in the conversation lurking as a word. They said sup comrades and like and give us some comments as well. I guess like this was the time that like Joey didn't have anything to like add as a word, because like either we white people settlers got it right, or like didn't like embarrass ourselves too much, or like there was nothing more to add. But like so who knows when I'll be streaming again. I should post more videos on my YouTube channel, but please check out the spaces where Summer Geek is over on the internet. Definitely Twitter. I at least post there regularly. But John Bronkwyn, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Yes, Dungeons and Debacles. Totally different from this. A heck of a lot of fun. You're fighting an evil red dragon cult. And we finally recorded again yesterday. After like 6 weeks away. Because of those, God, they're just jerks, you know, getting sick and going on vacation, taking their daughter to the emergency room, going on vacation.
Oh, having lives, having responsibilities, but also remember that thank you everyone for like coming in regularly, watching us and checking in with us and like spending time with us.
This is really great for me, just getting to be social and not having to hang out with liberals.
Oh yeah, but speaking of like a liberal who we like and we appreciate, yes, Steve Shives is agreed to come on to like next week's show, our 200th show. It's a Sunday he has off. He's not recording podcasts for, and it didn't have anything.
I will start by commiserating with him over the loss of his cat.
Yes,
and then I will criticize him for not being communist, and then I will do everything I can to turn him gay. Not for me, for you. You deserve Otter Steve.
Otter Steve. All right, take care.
Bye, everybody.
Practice self-care.
So take care of yourselves. All right, jutting off the street. Bye.